All right, folks, good morning. Welcome to Java session 3. This is going to be on strings, methods of strings, and we'll discuss the scanner in a little bit detail. The homework is going to involve scanner for this particular assignments. Before we get started, I wanted to just review this with you that there's a lot of help available, and just want to revisit that if you go to the class, you're going to find a couple of things. One, you're going to find a PowerPoint presentation that pretty much will include the notes that I'm going to go over. But one thing I realized that for code-related classes, it's probably better to do more of a in-code, the Eclipse program, instead of me doing PowerPoint presentations. I think that last class didn't go very well. And definitely I overshot. I thought that I could probably dump all this information and you would be okay, but I understand that it was too much. So I want to slow down a bit. I want to change the way I approach the class. I will still continue having PowerPoint presentations such as this, and it's going to have the important informations in here that you can study as notes. But I'm going to try to get away from PowerPoint as much as I can and describe and write up the notes into the Eclipse application so that it's more understandable. Now, as soon as I'm done with this, you know that I have videos in the video section down here, and you're welcome to watch the video multiple times and rewind back and forth if you need to, and pause and practice while you're doing that. So that will help you. The other thing is every class of code that I create, I'm going to be posting it right here. So if you go to your last class page, you're going to notice that down here I have something called class code, and everything that I did demo you, I have the code copied in here. Now it doesn't have the main method copied, it doesn't have the class, but I did write the name of the class right here. So you're supposed to create a class. If you wanted to mimic what I did, you're supposed to create a class called arithmetic operators, not with this colon, of course, just that. And then I would recommend that you look at the notes and then you mimic it and you type it yourself. Now, could you copy this? Could you copy this and post it and just paste it in the class that you would create? Sure. It may or may not work. Here's why. When you're copying this text from the website, these text, these symbols, not always have the same symbol on Eclipse. They may not understand the same way, and you're probably not going to be able to find the issue. Now, it doesn't always break like that. I mean, you 50% of the time, if you copy paste it, if you copy this whole thing and paste it in Eclipse, it's going to work. The other 50% of the time, you'll be like, why is it not working? I copied exact, but Eclipse is going to throw you an error. And finding that error is going to be a nightmare. I had students copy my code and paste it and was like pulling their hairs out. And I spent a lot of time trying to debug and I couldn't. And sometimes it could be this semicolon symbol in this website that's one thing and not the same thing in Eclipse if you copy paste it. Sometimes it could be this dot, sometimes it could be this equal sign, and it's Eclipse will not tell you what is the issue. And you'll be like, I have it the way it should be. Why can't I fix it? There's no way to fix it. If you get an error like that, there's no way to fix it. You have to delete everything, create a new class, and most likely my recommendation at that time would be go ahead and type it out yourself. But yeah, it's open book. Look at the notes, look at the code, and type it out. Um, Push the run button and see if it works. That's pretty much it. Now, if you copy this code, this is not gonna help you at all. Um, because you now have to type up this stuff. You understand that you're getting into a job that's probably going to require from day one for you to be productive. No company is going to uh, want you to sit for 6 months and get training for 6 months and then be productive, because then in that case they could hire somebody from universities and give them an entry level job. But you're not going in as an entry level, you're going in with experience. You want to get that high salary uh, paid as a at least a junior or mid-level engineer. Therefore, if you are not typing this up and getting your fingers faster, smoother, and uh, and you know getting up your speed, then it's gonna be difficult if you get that job and then they're asking you to produce something. You won't be able to produce much. And I mean, nothing to panic there. I've had students struggle when they got a job, and I had to literally write up their code in the evening when they're not there, and had them submit that, and just to survive there. But you have to pick up the pace. If you pick up the pace now, when you get that job offer, it's gonna be easy. But if you were thinking that I'm going to pick up the pace when I'm going to be in work and I'm going to learn more when I'm doing the job, it's going to be tough journey for you. It could be frustrating for you. I want you to think that at the end of this course, if I assign you an automation job, you should be able to finish that job in a day and target to finish an automation job within maybe 2 to 3 hours. But anyway, I would recommend. I know this is a video. This is a presentation you're watching, and you don't really have to type anything. You're just going to understand and ask question. Um, but make sure that you have a good desk and a chair. Um, get yourself a wireless mouse. You must, because otherwise things are going to be slow and you need to be faster at these. So get yourself at minimum a wireless mouse if you don't have one. um, I would recommend get a mouse and a wireless keyboard together. There's a Logitech one that's really awesome. It's only $20 in Best Buy. Those keyboards are better to type than computer keyboard, the laptop keyboards, and it's not gonna help you on picking up the pace. When you go join the company, they're gonna give you a platform where they might even give you the keyboard. If not, you should take your Logitech keyboard with you and perform there. Um, have a good place. Don't take the laptop and try to write code while you're sitting in your bed or on the sofa. That's not gonna help you get the proper form and 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 increase your productivity. You must uh, look at yourself as a machine. When they give you a task, you want to deliver, and that's how you're going to be successful. All right. So I have a whole bunch of stuff set up in my room, and I have uh, I have multiple stand-up desk here, stand-up arm. Sometimes I stand up and work. Sometimes I can pull that down and work. So think of setting up something like that in the future for yourself. Anyway, all of these classes have been posted here, and whatever I'm going to do the demos, it's going to be posted for today's class, which is strings and scanners. But I just wanted to scroll down and show you that all these codes, and these are all the classes that I created, perimeter and area of circle, and all of these. Again, don't copy this, because if you copy this, you're not going to practice. It's not going to stick with you, and you're going to forget. So type it out, check the errors that you're going to get, fix those errors. That's how you're going to become an engineer on this platform. Anyway, strings and scanners. Right now, I just have the PowerPoint. I'm not going to go over the PowerPoint. PowerPoints are there for your notes if you need to, but I'm going to go over what I have in PowerPoint in Eclipse and explain and ask questions. And then at the end, I will go over the homework with you and leave you to it. Every Thursday from now on, I'm going to have a 4:30 Central Time homework help class. This is optional, of course. You're welcome to attend. If you feel, if you're not sure whether you're struggling or not, or let me back up for a second. If I give you a homework, which is going to be today, you should, by Thursday, you should have a pretty good amount of homework completed. Why? Because if you don't, then you don't know if you need help from me. And you might think, oh, I got the class, I understand it, it's easy. But don't underestimate, because when you're going to put your hands on that homework, it's going to be like, oh man, I forgot this one, or oh, why is this not working? So I want you to finish substantial amount, probably 80% of the homework by Thursday. And with that 80%, if you see it's working for you, then you probably got this and you don't need to attend the homework class. But if you're struggling, then you should attend the homework class. And you can tell me if I need to change the time so that I can accommodate you. And if you cannot make it on Thursday, I'm willing to sit with you one-on-one on any other day that you have time. All you have to do is just ask, okay? You cannot slow yourself down from where we are right now, because it's not going to be theoretical classes. It's going to be practical classes. And these are bricks that you're building your foundation. If you miss a brick, your foundation is not going to be strong. And as deeper I'm going to take you through this, you're not going to be able to survive. So I want you to make sure your homework is the key. If you can finish your homework with no issues, even after I do the Thursday class and then you're able to finish the homework, you are good. That's your safety net. That's your sign, and that you are on the right track. But if you're not being able to finish the homework, and you're struggling, and you're not seeking that help that you need, then that's going to cause a serious issue down the road in about a month or so, because this is about to get very sophisticated now, and this is where you either make it or you break it. So I just want to put that out there, but I really believe that you guys have what it takes to get yourself out there and get that job and be successful, and never look back. Never look back at your past life, and look at future, and just go be somebody. You can do this. You just follow the system and make yourself do a little things that I ask you to do. You don't have to do anything extra if you don't want to. But if you feel curious, then go search stuff, because that's just gonna make you even better. Any questions before we get started?
No.
All right.
No.
So every time you do a homework question, I would recommend that you create a class, a separate class, and in that separate class, you write up your code. Don't try to mix up codes from two classes. Two reasons. One, you need to get yourself like automatic on creating projects, creating packages, and creating classes. This should not be an issue for you at all, because this is what you're going to be doing when your boss asks you to create an automation. You're going to have to create not a project. You may have to create a package. If the package is already there for you, most likely they might have the packages there for you. You definitely have to create a class, and for that particular automation job you have to create a class and write your automation code in that class. So you need to be very familiar with that. Can you tell me if you're able to, I just zoomed in my computer. Does that show up on your screen as well?
Yeah, it shows up.
Yeah.
Like it's zooming?
Yeah, it's zoomed in.
Even more? Like I really zoomed in.
Yeah, it's really close.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It's working. I don't know why some of my other computers is not like the last time when I met with y'all. I could see the zoom in, but y'all couldn't. So that's particularly why I should continue using this platform here that I have. Anyway, so far what you learned is there's three things in this folder scheme. One is you have the project name, and this project for your company is gonna be the name of the company. Chances are, let's say if you have Priceline you're working for, the name of this project is gonna be Priceline, and all the software code is going to be inside that Priceline project. You'll be surprised that just a little folder like this can run an entire Priceline application. It's amazing how it works. But trust me, that's all there is to it. Is they have the same setup for their Priceline website to run. Anyway, inside the project, you got a system library of codes that are here that help us write the code. These are like the source code and stuff, whoever created Java. And I'm using version 11. I asked you to use version 8 because I've seen problems in 11, but I am experimenting right now while I demo. If I see an issue come up, I will probably revert back. But you should keep it at version 8. Don't change it. And in here, where it says source, this is where all the code is gonna stay. But inside the source folder, you must have packages, separate packages, and inside these packages is where your classes that's gonna contain code. Homework package doesn't contain code. Source folder doesn't contain code. The actual code is in Java classes. So these are just like a folder in Java. These immediate folders that houses the classes is called a package. Is it any different from a folder? No, it's the same thing as a folder. Just like the source folder, the package is also a folder and nothing more. But they like to call it a fancy name, package. Just deal with it, all right? Anyway, I am going to create a package, a project, because I just want you to get more familiarized with this. And so every class, I'm going to create one project. And I'm going to create maybe multiple packages, maybe one package, but every assignment is going to be in a class. So I'm going to right click. You can right click on this empty space and you can go to new, and you can either, it's going to tell you Java project, but if it doesn't tell you Java project, just go ahead and click on project, and it's going to give you this window here and ask you, what would you like? Let me zoom out a little bit more. And in here, chances are everything might be collapsed like this. And you need to expand this Java part with this arrow, open it up, and where it says Java project, just click that and click next. It's going to ask you for what would you like to name it. There's a lot of stuff here. You don't have to worry about any. You just look for project name where your cursor is blinking and you type in the name of the project. I'm going to call this string and scanner. Now, when you're dealing with Java, you're going to see that Java doesn't like any spaces. It's going to cause a lot of issues. So it's best if you don't have any spaces. Can you do train case? Yes. And that might be more readable, or underscores work as well. I left out the capitals. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. Here, click on finish, and you should have a project ready for you. If you get this window asking you create module info.java, you don't need to create a module. Just say don't create. And if this window pops up and says what kind of project associated with Java perspective, something to do with perspective, do you want to open this Java perspective? Just go ahead and say open perspective. That's fine. What that's going to do is reset your window to the default Java perspective that you're seeing right there. And then you can go ahead and change it to the way you want to. Okay. So here I have the strings and scanner that I just created. I'm going to expand this out, and I'm going to right click on the source folder and go to new and click on package. And that's going to give me a package. I'm going to name this package class practice, let's say. And package name has to be lowercase. So class practice. All right, let me zoom out a bit. Then you click on finish. And if you go back in here, you're going to see this package. This package doesn't have anything. That's why it's white or blank. Right click on the package, go to new, and click create a class. It's asking for a class name. A window like this. Give it a class name. I'm going to call this string case. This is Pascal case, capital S and capital C. And I'm not going to select public static void main just to show you how I can do this without that. Just click finish, and you get to this. Escape out of here, and this gave me this class, and that's the only one open. Okay. Now, if you don't have the main method, you can type in main and press and hold control, and press the space bar, and it's going to give you one of these options, and then you just hit enter, and that gives you these main method. Now, main methods open parentheses and open curly brace and close curly brace ends right there. And your class, the name of the class, open parentheses, open curly brace for your class starts here and ends here. These two things you don't want to copy, you don't want to delete. When you submit your homework, you just copy what you typed in. Don't copy this to turn in. Don't copy the main method to turn in. And you definitely don't have to copy these to submit your assignments. Okay. Anyway, just a quick refresher. What you learned from my homework class and last week is you learned that we can have variables. All right, we can have something like, let's say, int. If I say int, that gives me, let me get my tool right here. So the moment you write int, Java opens up a space for you. Okay. And in this space, you can only store int. The next thing Java is asking you to give it a name. We could say age. And then at this point, we don't have to write anything if we don't want to. We could just close it, and Java didn't store anything, but he did name it age just the way you did and waiting for you. But if you wanted to store some value immediately, you can. If you wanted to wait later, some point down the road, and say age equal to 23, then that 23 is going to get assigned. Java is going to look at this equal sign. Again, refresher, this equal sign is not an equal sign in Java. It's called assignment symbol. So don't get confused with those two. Java is going to take this 23, saw this equal sign, and it will take it and store it into this age variable or a memory space, which is right here. And that 23 is going to get stored. So you can do that. Now, why am I not writing this int over here again? Can somebody tell me?
For not to use the memory.
Memory, something to do with the memory, correct?
Yeah, you already created the variable. So int age got assigned an int variable or int type. It could have been like, string or double or whatever. So then you can assign age later in your code to whatever you want, as long as it corresponds to whatever you assigned it as. So you assign it as an integer. So as long as age equals something as an integer, your Java is not going to pull up an error message.
Correct. So you already created, when you write int and then you wrote age, you already created a variable there. If I put int one more time here, he's going to complain. He's going to say, well, you already created one, and now you're trying to create another one, but this is not allowed. You can't have two different names. This is duplicate names. You can save this 23 without having the word int, because when you say int, he is going to create another one. He's not going to think this is the one you're referring to. Okay? But if you don't call the word int, then he knows, go look for where is age, and then put 23 there. So if you have two of these with the same name, he's going to think you're trying to create a duplicate one. And that will be confusing for Java to find those variables. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, let me just delete this here. And we're going to just call it 23. You also saw we could do string. And you noticed so far that int, double, and everything else was all lowercase. But string started with an uppercase. We'll explain this more later. So I could give it a variable name called name. Guys, you get to choose what name you want. Java doesn't care. You get to choose that. And string name, let's say I want to say Michael Jackson. And I'll close this. So now we got these storage right here. One stores 23 for age, the other is storing Michael Jackson. You saw we did double, and we give it a name, let's say area of a rectangle or something. And in here, we can store something like a decimal, maybe like 67.34. And that will store there. You've seen Boolean. Yes or no. And show us, what can we store in Boolean?
Like true or false.
True or false. Tony, if I don't put anything, what's the default value of yes or no?
No. Or false.
False. Correct. So if you just say Boolean and you give it a variable name, Java goes and creates an empty spot for you, gives it the name, which is yes or no. Excuse my handwriting with this. And Java, because you didn't add any value to it, Java by default gave it the value of false. This is going to be useful in next class. You're going to see how we handle this true or false. thing. So that's that. And the everything else, every other variable names, you're probably not going to use. So if you got these 4 and you know how they work, you are good there. For today's class purposes, I do want to bring in the other one called char. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's call it any letter. I'm just naming it any letter. This has nothing to do with Java. And this char, automatically now you have a space. And Desmond, do you remember what I can store for char variable?
Names? Any names?
Not
Character?
character, correct. We cannot store the entire name. We can store the character. And who can tell me, do I need double quote or single quote on this one?
A single quote.
Single quote, correct. I can store the letter M with a single quote, and it's gonna store. I cannot put multiple characters in this variable. It's not gonna work. Okay, so let's put in something here. Let's go ahead and say letter M in single quote and close this. All right. Now if we try to print this out, you've already seen the printout of these guys. Just want to show you how this looks like here. 2 things you can do. Again, you can type in SOUT, S-O-U-T, and press and hold Control button and click space bar. And if this statement doesn't appear, try sys out. So just type in sys and then out and press and hold Control button and space bar. That should give you that. If none of these work for you, let me know and I'll debug your platform to see why is it not giving you that. There might be some issues. So here, if I print out any letter, so I can take that, copy that variable and just print it out here, paste it here. If I click here, notice Java will be able to highlight that and that. Those gets highlighted. Anyway, if I run this now, and I got that M character showed up. Okay. Any questions about this so far? Are we good?
Yeah.
No question.
Okay. Here's the new topic. And let me just do a notes like this. So this one, I'm going to show you how you can print out a string in different cases. So /* / and in here is where I'm going to write the notes. This string right here, this is not a primitive variable. Int, double, boolean, char, all of these are primitive variables and they cannot do anything else but store data. With me so far?
Yes.
You cannot do anything else but just store that data. That's it. But the funny thing about string, notice it did not light up the same way. And it's uppercase S, just like we have the uppercase class name. Okay. And that's pretty much it, guys. String is actually a class. Somebody created this class. So if you store something there, like Michael Jackson, it's not on this class not only stores that name, but you can do a whole lot of things with it. And one of those, I'm going to go over most of them today. that you're going to need and highly use these methods of string in automation. So here, methods of string. First one, and I'm just going to write it like this, dot length. Attention that I put open parenthesis and close parenthesis. If I do that, automatically, what do you think this is? It's a what? It's a method. Okay. If you have a dot and it's in something and you see parenthesis on the right side, it's a method. Understand? I'll ask you these questions over and over. If you pop quiz, if I put this parenthesis on the left side, who can tell me what that means?
Cast.
Casting. Correct.
Yeah.
I'm trying to cast, I'm trying to mold this guy into something that I want to put right there. Okay? So that's it, guys. If you see parentheses on the right side, it's a method. It's supposed to do something for you. It's an action. All right? So dot length is an action that's going to give you the length. It's going to get, the method does is get the length of given string. Let's take a look at how that works. All right, let me delete this. And I am going to delete, I'm going to leave it there. Here's the string. Here's the storage, and I have Michael Jackson. If I wanted to know the length of this string that I have, all I have to do is, if I wanted to print that out, let me delete this part. Let's say I want to print out what is the length of Michael Jackson. I could do south. And in here, whatever I'm going to print right there, I could take this name, paste it here, and if I put a dot right next to it, it gives me all of these things that I can do with it. Okay? There's a lot. You don't need to know all of these. I don't even know like 70% of these, what it does. You will never use it, but it has a whole lot of capabilities. But the things that I'm going to show you today is what you're going to need. I could type in .length. This search window will narrow it down for you. So you do need to know a few letters that's there. Do I have to memorize this? No. But if you want to, if you're good at memorizing, do it. It's going to make you all the better. I mean, a lot of people talk about negativity about memorization and positivity of understanding and not memorizing. I mean, at the end of the day, if you get the job done faster, I don't care. You memorize this or you got this. If you're productive, that's all it matters. So follow your steps. Here, now that the window popped up with this option, at this point, I can just hit enter. Notice this is highlighted with gray. So if I hit enter, it's going to do the work for me. Bam, there. Okay? You don't have to type up too much. Sometimes you'll forget that, oh, I don't know how to find the length. In that case, what are you going to do? Just put a dot. This window pops up and you're not sure what was that word to get the length. You can kind of scroll down and up and down and maybe encounter this word length and like, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, maybe I can do length with this one. Let me just click on it and hit enter. There you go, I have it. So again, you don't have to memorize it if you don't want to or need to, really. There's this Eclipse software will walk you through and help you step of the way to get the answer you want. Now if I run this, it gave me 15. I need to understand what that 15 is. Let me go ahead and type some string here and say I'm going to say the length of
Is that count the space too?
yes, good question. The length of string is space and put a plus here. It's going to give me that. And if I print it now, the length of string is 15. So let's take a look at how we got 15. And this is also very, very important. So when you created a string called name, Java created a space for you to put this here. In fact, that particular class took this name and put it in Michael space Jackson like that. I overshot it, don't need that. And Java is also has a character. See this character right here? Stored, this string is using the help of this char primitive storage to store every single one of these characters like this. Okay. In theory, you don't need to know too much right now. Just like that. Okay. And then this is a space. Difficult to write with this mouse. But I hope you get the point. Okay, this is nothing. Right. So what Java did is, Java's rule is the first number is never 1. It's always 0. Okay. And then it starts with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, which is this one, 12, 13, and 14, right? So you're probably asking, why did it print out 15? Anybody want to take a guess?
Is that they also count the 0 too?
They also counted the 0. That's right. So counting the 0 is actually 1 for us. But the Java will store these variables, these letters, with the code called 0. With the spot or position is going to be 0. So even though this position is 0, you should count that as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 14 is actually 15 because you had to count the 0 as a 1 to it. So whatever the length is, whatever the last position is, you always have to add 1 to understand what the actual length is going to be. When you say, I want you to print the length, Java will count that 0 as a 1 and do print that out. Instead of saying 14, it's going to say there are 15 things, 15 characters in that string. Does that make sense? Anyway, guys.
I have a question. With the length, then we are using the name.length, right?
Yes.
For the and the length has another method. Can we do anything else on that? There's like I don't know if I can explain my question.
Like to use another method to find length, or
No, in the length that has the open parenthesis and closing parenthesis, right?
uh-huh.
So inside that we can use another things or not?
That's a very good question you ask. Thanks for bringing this up. Um, I think what you've been connecting is that sometimes we put something in here, right? Can you give me another example that I showed that you have to put something there? Oh, well, this. See that print method?
Yeah.
That's a very good connection that Shobus made right here. It's like, why is sometimes we put something in this parenthesis and sometimes we don't? For example, if I write this print dot print ln, we have this parenthesis, it's a method, and we put in stuff inside it and it gets printed. So his question is, how come you don't have to put anything in here? Or do we have to put something there? The answer is sometimes you do, sometimes, well, let me rephrase. For some methods you need to, for some methods you don't need to. All right? And I don't want to say anything more. If I do, I'm going to confuse you. But let me explain this maybe 2 classes from now, okay? From 2 sessions from now, when we're going to create methods of our own, that's when I'm going to explain what that is. I'm just going to leave it there. But this method, it does not take anything. If you just type in name.length and put these parentheses, it's going to give you whatever the length for that variable is. Any question before we move on to the next topic?
No, it's fine.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Now, another thing you need to learn is uppercase and lowercase. So there is a string method called dot to lowercase. This will Hey, can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mhm.
Sorry. Can you usher again? Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Just battery died. Let's go ahead and take 5 minutes. I think it's 1 hour has been, so we'll be back after 5 minutes. Hey, are y'all back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yes.
Okay, great. Shobuz, I do want to give you one other information on this method, if it takes any input or not. By the way, this is called perimeter. Some methods will take perimeters, others will not. The why answer I still don't want to give you now, but I will give you one little hint here. If I type in the word name, because it's a string variable, if I put a dot right here, it's gonna give me all these options. Now I want you to look at all these options that we have here. Here's the first one that pops up. It tells me the method is called char at, which I'm going to show you on my next demo. And then look at this one, chars. Look at the parenthesis here, and look at the parenthesis here. Can you take a guess which one will require you to put some sort of input in the parenthesis? Out of these two?
The compare to ones?
This one, right? Char at. Because it has the parenthesis and it tells you what you need to type in inside the parentheses. Okay, two things. It's telling you two things, but you don't have to type in two things. It's actually telling you to type in one thing, and that one thing has to be in the type of an int. And what that int means is index. Okay, which I'll demo you in the next demo for this one. I have that on the list. This one, notice, it doesn't have anything in the parentheses. That means that this method, if I use, I don't have to put in anything in this parenthesis.
It's a bit confusing because the mouse is not moving. It's pointing to the compare to. Yeah, that's.
My mouse is not pointing to char at right now?
No, it's not. So
No,
that's.
I think your video is slower than your voice.
Oh man. Okay. So one thing is coming before the other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe what I can do is probably the zoom in feature is messing things up. How about now?
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the only problem is with that is like, this window I can't zoom this window anymore without that zoom feature. But if you all can still understand the font, and I can't even use the pencil tool, it goes away. So here with this char at and this chars, this one, the first one, it's telling me that you have to enter something, and that something that you have to enter here has to be an int data type, and what that int you're entering is basically an index. So I'll explain that later. But this one, chars, with nothing inside these parentheses telling you you don't have to add anything with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
And also, if I did length, notice, look at this. These parentheses don't have anything in it. If it doesn't have anything in it, I don't have to add anything in it. And if it doesn't have anything in it and I do add something in it, it's gonna give me an error. Vice versa. If this one, which says substring, and it's asking you to enter an int value, and you don't enter something, it's gonna give you an error.
Right.
Okay. All right. So where I was at is dot to lowercase will convert string to lowercase, as simple as that. Okay. And the other one, dot to uppercase, does just the opposite. Dot to uppercase method. This C is probably uppercase method. If you use this one, it's going to take whatever string you have and it's going to convert that into uppercase. So we'll convert string to uppercase. Okay, let's see how to use that. Here I have Michael Jackson in this string, right? At this point, I'm going to delete these. You don't need that in the notes. And I'm going to bring this down here so you can understand better. And keep the notes tidy, clean and tidy. So here I have string name Michael Jackson. System.out, I printed out the length of the string. If I wanted to print this Michael Jackson all in lowercase, I can do that. Simple. All I have to do, let me just put this in here for easy readability. I would say the string in lowercase. Okay. And then in here with the plus sign, if I take the word name, the variable name, and put a dot and just type in LO or 2, whichever you choose to, anything you can remember part of that method. So even if I write dot LO lowercase, notice it chose these options for me. The first one is the one you want, which does not require you to enter anything to it. You just highlight it, select it, and hit enter, and there you have it. Now if I run it, my first thing is gonna say the length of the string is 15, which was right here, and I forgot to say the string in lowercase, spelling mistake, which is not gonna cause an error though. The string in lowercase, look what happened. I had this Michael M capital that got converted to lowercase m. If there was anything like Jackson J was uppercase, it got converted to lowercase. Is that easy enough?
Yes.
Okay. Next, same thing. If you wanted to print out all of this, what you have stored in uppercase, you can also do that with .to uppercase method. So if I take this part right here, copy that, and the string in uppercase with the plus, I'm going to take the variable name, put a dot, and just type in to upper or to U. That already narrowed down the search for me. It gives me more information, by the way, on the left panel. If you want to, you can read about it. It tells you how to use it, what it's for, stuff like that. Really not needed at this point. But if I choose this first one, says string to uppercase, which does not require any input to go in there, any parameters to go in there, hit enter, I got it. And if I run it now, I will have three things printed. One, the length of the string in lowercase, and look, the string is uppercase. All Michael Jackson, the entire thing is printed out in uppercase letters. Any questions about these three methods before I move on to the next method?
No questions.
No.
All right, very good then. Let's now focus on the character add that we were talking about and index off. So this is, I'm going to call this, close this out. Don't need that. I'm going to go to class practice and create a class called string position. This is important for you to know this right now, because with this idea, I'm going to build on something more complex a couple of weeks from now. So I go in here and I'm going to take notes. So / **, go in here. Oops, too many. And no space. So still string methods. Two methods go hand in hand, and that's one called char at. Okay, in here you have to provide int index, and what it does, it's gonna give you back return the character position of a given index. Character at return the character of given position, of given index. Let's do it this way, keep it simple. All right, and the other one is called index off. Index off, and here what you would have to include as parameter is, as a string, you have to put string character. Which character are you looking for? And this will return position of the given character. Yeah, let me explain this. Suppose I have a string variable called I don't know, again, I can do my name, string my name, to keep things short. And here I put my name as Stein. Okay, and I close this out. And let me put, yeah, Stein's fine. What Java did again is took this space, memory space, and this time I'm going to write it like this first. Created a memory space like that, and saved my name in the space, dividing every single character in one spot, and gave it a position. Right? Haley, can you tell me what will be the position number for T, letter T?
It would be 1.
Very good, correct. And Loretta, can you tell me what would be the position for S?
0.
0, very good. So you got the point. So if you are given a question in your interview, like a written question, stuff like that, if they go deeper like this, you may have to break it down and first label it, and then you be able to answer the question. So always visualize things. Tony, what is the length of this string?
5.
Correct. Notice Tony didn't say 4. He added 1 to the 4 and made it 5, because actually this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? We're clear on that. Now, I can get which position this letter I is with this method index of. Sorry, character, index of. And vice versa, if I do character at, I can get which letter at a certain index. Let me give you an example to explain this. So suppose if I wanted to find out which position is it at 0, 1, or 2 this letter I is, all I have to do is use this method called index of. I want to find index. These, by the way, this is called, these are indexes. Okay, this is index. Okay, and this is character or letter. So if I want to find index, I want to use the method called index of. So here, if I type in south, because I gotta print it out to be able to see what it tells me, so I need that method to display to me what the Java is receiving. And for a fancy sake, I can write index of, and then index of I is, and over here is where I want Java to print out. Find it and print it out for me. So I want to add a plus sign, take this variable name, put it right here, put a dot, and just type in the word IND. It's gonna bring it to you. So dot IND, and there you have it. You have this index of, and which one you want to choose is this this one that says string as an input. There's several of them. Notice this one takes multiple with this comma. It's showing you there's multiple of them. Let me zoom in. I don't know if you can see this. Does that zoom in on your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at the bottom ones where it says last index of. Notice that there is a comma in between those items that go inside the parentheses. And that comma is actually telling you how many parameters it's going to go in there. If there's one comma separated by two pieces of data, you need two parameters that needs to go in there. If there is no comma, for example, take a look at the second one from the top that says string, and then it says str. That only takes one string element in it. That's the one we're going to use. Let me zoom out. So in here, I'm going to take this string str, and you're probably asking, what is this str? This is where you have to type in the substring or the letter that you want the index of. So if I put quotation here and put the letter I, and now if I print it out, it's gonna print out first this part, index of I is, and then with the plus sign, the name dot index of I, notice it was 2, and that 2 got printed out right here. Question?
No.
No,
Not
no.
about my last question that I asked before. So it's
So
I'm good now.
you got this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What if I didn't want index, but I know the index? Let's say I know it's gonna be 3. The index is 3. I want the letter that's in the index number 3. Then you're gonna use this method called char at. Okay. You want to find out where is the character at. This is gonna give you the character. If you know the index, it's going to give you the character back. So you know the index is going to be 3. You don't know what letter is stored in index 3. You want to find that out. So let's do that. So here I have the Stein word. All right. And I got 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all I want is what letter is stored in index 3. So I do south. In here, I would say what letter is stored in index 3. I'll put a colon here and a plus sign. I would take my name, variable name, paste it here, put a dot, and just type a little bit of that, which is char at. And notice if I do char at, this window pops up and it tells me the input inside those parentheses, what I'm gonna need. It's the very first one. I'm gonna need to provide some sort of int or integer as a parameter. Okay, I'm gonna need to provide an integer. And what is the very last word on the right side? What is the last on the right side of this highlighted line?
String or what?
String, correct.
Hider.
Yes, string. So what you see on the very right side of that line, that's what's gonna be returned to you. Understand?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't use my mouse because it doesn't show, as you said. So I just want you to look at the very first one where it says char at. Inside the parentheses is what you're gonna put in, and after the colon, what you have on the right side is what you're gonna get back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's gonna return to you a character string for that particular index you're going to put in inside that method. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh no, I didn't. I just agree with you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So if I go in here, I already just by putting dot and then char add, this list of stuff is already telling me what to put in and what I'm gonna get back. I need to put in an integer value, and I'm gonna get back a string, which is gonna be a character that's stored inside it. So if I select that, hit enter, the method is ready for me. Look where it's highlighting and it's telling me, hey, if you don't put an index here, meaning an int, look at the top where it says int. Every time I choose the pen, it goes away. But we do this again. So if I choose these, it's waiting for me to put in any number, and it's telling me it's an int, you cannot put a string. And what you're putting in is you're actually, it's called index. You're trying to find the letter, but you have to give me what index you want. So if I delete that and put a 3 in here, and now if I run this program, first thing it printed out is index of I, which was this one. It gave me 2. Okay. Excuse me. Right there. And then next thing I printed out is what letter is stored in index 3, which is this part. What letter is stored in index 3? And this name.character at 3, Java went into number 3, looked for the memory location, and found the letter N. and brought it back and printed out for you. Any questions?
No.
No, no question.
No questions.
Okay. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. One other thing I want to add to this particular class before moving on to the next demo is dot concat method. Dot concat, and you have to add a string in here. What does that mean? It is to connect two strings together. This is not used a lot, but if you see it, I don't want you to get confused. That's why I want to show you. So I have a variable called my name, and let's say I wanted to add another variable called last name and put purification. Okay, and store those two variables. Now you know that if I wanted to print this out in one sentence, you can do it with this plus sign. Yeah? Can somebody tell me how would I write this?
System dot out.
My
Okay.
name plus last name.
So I take this my name, I place it right here. Okay? And then
Plus last name.
put a plus, and then take this last name and then print it here, paste it here. This last name got connected from this last name, and it's going to get purification right here. And then this first name is going to get that Stein and do it here, and it's going to print it out for me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to block this comment this out so it doesn't cloud my stuff. I will uncomment it when I'm done with this notes. Now if I run this, do I have it?
Yes.
But what's wrong with that?
Space.
There is no space between it. How would I add a space between these two?
Just plus, then double column.
So I need to add another plus right here.
Yeah.
And inside these two pluses, I need to add a double quote. And then inside the double quote, I need to put a space.
Dot. Oh, okay.
A space. This space is gonna give the space between this first name and then the last name. Understand? If I don't put any space inside these two quotations and run it, it's not gonna give me anything.
Yeah.
It's not gonna give you an error either. But if I put just one space inside this double quote, it's gonna add that space between those two words, and it's gonna look like that. Right? With the concat, take a look at how this works. I can skip doing this and use this method instead. What I have to do is, if I wanted to connect these two, I have to take the first one, okay, like this. So let me put it inside the south method. So I have to take this first name, paste it here, and if I put a dot and look for the method called concat, C-O-N-C-A-T, look, it gave me that. What parameter is it asking for?
String.
String. That should give you a hint that if you try to concat or connect, if you try to connect another string, then this is where you would put in that other string that you're trying to connect to. Make sense?
Yeah.
Look what happened. Sometimes Eclipse is smart enough to tell you that this is Eclipse telling you, hey dude, I just checked your class, and this is the only two string stuff that you have stored. One is called my name, which is right there, and the other is called last name. Are you wanting to connect any one of these? I was going to connect the last name. You see? Now, Eclipse doesn't always hint well. IntelliJ, the paid version, is very smart. It will tell you that, if you try to use this method, this is the only thing you can choose to use. If you put anything else, that might be a mistake or something, you know? Or you can type in your own string here. You could go in and type in, you can put something like that is my name. All right, you can do that. That will be fine. It will connect those two. But I just wanted you to see this first. If I say last name, or bring this last name here, and then now print it out. Let me get rid of this one. Run it again, and it has connected those two for me as well. But the problem is it didn't give me that string, that space that I needed. Now with concat method, if you want that space, you have to add a space between your storage. This purification, you have to add a space. And then that's going to bring that space together. So if I run it now, because this purification already had a space, it gave me that space right there. Question about .concat method.
No question.
Okay. I think I want to throw in one more in here. It's called .trim. What does trim mean in English word?
Cut.
Cutting. Yeah.
Cutting, yes. From the outside, right? How are you trimming the trees? From the inside or the outside?
Outside.
Outside.
Outside. So this trim means the same thing. It's going to cut white space. White space is just basically this right there, this space. Okay?
Oh.
This space. So if I wanted to cut this space, or I call it white space, you know, they like to call it white space. Cut white space from both ends, meaning the outside of the tree, basically. Both ends of the string. Both ends meaning even here. All right? Give you an example of how to use that. I will say another string is let's say I don't know, another name. Or just a word.
Middle name.
Middle, okay. Middle name. Middle name equals, my middle name is MRIDUL. All right, so I got this. And let's say I put some space here and here. Notice I put a space here and here. Okay, and a space here and a space here, let's say. And I want to print this out with this concat method. If I run this, I got this name plus concat, that one. Let me not use the concat method. Don't want to confuse you. So we'll do this one. Just a plus. So system.out, I'm going to take this first name, middle name, and last name. I'm going to print it out. So I'm just going to take this my name here. It already has a space there, so that helps. I take this middle name, put it right here, and a plus, It's nice if I put a little space, easy to see. Doesn't really matter. Last name right here. Let's print it out and see how it looks. Here's my first name, last name, middle name, and last name. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a space in front of it, front of this Stein. You see that?
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know if you can tell, there's two spaces, two white spaces in here. Because one white space is coming from Stein. The other white space is coming from this middle name, Riddle. And then behind it is also there's some of these. You're probably asking, why in the world do I need to learn this? It's because with this concept, what you're going to do is when you are testing a website, your code is going to pick up a string from the website. Like when you created a booking, it's going to give you a success message. And in that success message, there's going to be a confirmation number and a whole bunch of other writings in there too. When you pick that text from the website confirmation message, you're going to have to isolate and trim things to extract just that confirmation number and use that confirmation number to validate another page. And that's why you need these skills with this string. And it's very useful. So now what I could do, let's say I don't want the space because this is a confirmation number for that name. If I try to compare this name with another page name, Java is going to get confused. Java is going to try to compare the space as well, and it's going to give you an error even when you have the right name displayed on the reservation. So you are supposed to look at as an engineer that, oh, I cannot compare it like this because this brings in a space. I got to get rid of that space. So what you can do is you can use the word trim and take spaces out. Let me show you how to use it. So I'm going to block this out. This was before. Well, let it print. So system.out. I'm going to take this first, my name that I had before. And if I use the word dot trim, it gives me this option right here. Desmond, do I have to put any input inside this method?
Nothing.
Nothing. And Shobuz, what is it going to return me?
No white space.
It's going to give me the string back with no spaces. Okay? Notice, returns a string, and you can read about this more. I don't want to go there to confuse any farther. That's it, guys. I don't have to do anything else. If I just did that, this name, Stein, will be returned to me without the space before and without the space after. It's going to trim it down. It's going to cut the both ends of white space. And then I can do my middle name and last name. And you can see how that looks like. What if I wanted to trim that too? Dot trim. Let's see for fun. If I take my last name here, take that and dot trim that one. If I print it out now, first one is going to print the same thing. And second one is going to print with the trim. So let's see. You see what happened? This white space was gone. All of these white spaces are gone. And now the entire word got connected. 3 words got connected together because the trim was able to cut down on all those. Now, for fancy's sake, if I wanted to just have one space in between, who can tell me what do I need to change here so that my name appears with only one space in between? What would be the best way to do this?
Is that a double quotation and space?
No, I don't want to put double quote and space because these come with the space already. So which one of this method, if I take
would,
out?
Take out the trim from the middle name.
yeah, take out the trim for the middle name.
Okay, let's try that. So if I take this out and run it, perfect. Okay. Middle name has that space before and after, and we trimmed the first one and the last one. This space right here is showing up in here, and this space at the end is showing up right here and positions these words perfectly the way we want it. I just want you to know how this is done and be able to perform these operations when needed. Questions? Y'all got this?
No question.
Okay. Let me uncomment these, and I will post these on that lesson page. So you're going to have an example of these and notes on the top as well. So you can study that and use for homework practice. Creating another class, this one is going to be on comparison. Very important. String comparison. Took that out, save it. In here. String comparison methods. All right. Suppose I have a string called any text. String called text1. Text1, and I have I love soccer. And then I have another string stored called text2. I love soccer. What's the difference in between those two?
One has uppercase on every word.
One has
Another one.
right. So one has uppercase and one has lowercase. Okay, good observation there. So if I wanted to compare whether the string 1 is exactly same as string 2, there is a method to do that. And you need to learn that, because when you take that confirmation number of a customer and you store it as a string, you want to compare that confirmation number with the confirmation number on the customer's page, on another page, to see if they match. And that's when you need to compare things. Now, there is a way to compare. There's a method called dot equals. Okay? And in here, you put in the string that you want to compare to. So checks for same, checks whether the strings are the same or not, and it will return true or false. It will say true or false. That's what it's going to do. This method is going to check. If it's matching, it's going to say true. If it's not matching, it's going to say false. So let's see what are we going to do here. If I do system.out print, and I want to take this first text, text1, and put a dot and say equals. And you can choose this one here, dot equals object. Even though it says object, you can put in a string and that will be okay. I don't want to explain this right now because this will be overwhelming. So I just want you to just pick that method that says equals and nothing else. And look, Eclipse was able to tell me that, hey, I can choose one of these. Well, I already took text 1 and I'm not going to compare text 1 with text 1, am I? I need to compare text 1 with text 2. So I'm going to choose text 2 here and then hit enter. What it's going to do is it's going to compare text 1, which is I love soccer, and it's going to see if they're equal to text 2, which is I love soccer with the lowercase I here. If I run this, who can tell me what will be my output here?
True.
Okay, let's see.
Wouldn't it be false because they're different letters?
That's right. Because Java is pretty case sensitive. It's comparing the letter cases as well. So string 1 has an uppercase I, string 2 has a lowercase I. Even though they are the same thing, this method is failing it. It's telling me they're not true. This could be a huge problem when you go into automation. If you have, for some reason, the developer wrote I love soccer on one page, or a confirmation number with some letters in one page. Let's do this. Let's say this is a confirmation number. C GHT3456, right? And then you have another confirmation number that you picked up from a reservation, and this C is lowercase. Okay, go figure. Some developer decided that they're going to print the same thing on another page with this letter, and you're trying to compare whether the reservation was taken place or not. And if you run this command, you're getting a false. Your test case fails for a wrong reason. It's making you believe that your test case failed because the confirmation number wasn't there, or a wrong confirmation number wasn't there. In fact, it's not. So you have to use a better method that's going to ignore these uppercase and lowercase, and there's a method similar to this. It's called dot equals ignore case. Ignore case. This is heavily used in automation. I use this almost like every other day when I'm coding things, and yeah, every automation I have probably has this method in it. This is also checks whether they are same, but ignores the case while checking. Check. I just want you to see how this will come up to true if I put C right there and run this. Because they're matching, including the case, this method was able to say true, that they do match, but false if their one case is different from the other. Now, if I just want to put a little text here, are the texts same? And the first method told me false, even though it is true, they're same. If I use this other method, same text with the plus sign. If I take text 1, put a dot and say equals ignore case, this one right here, dot equals ignore case, select that, and now it's asking me to input who do I want to compare it to. Here's the text 1 that I'm going to compare, but with whom?
2.
Text 2, right?
Yes.
So take the text 2, put it right there, I'm done. no errors, nothing. Text 1 is being compared with text 2 using this method, which is gonna ignore the case. And let me mess up the case really bad. T right there, H, G, that one capital, and this one capital. Okay, all messed.
You need to put the G, I think, not H.
Oh yes, capital G right there. So all these cases are messed up.
T, and T is uppercase.
I am messed up completely. Not the text is not mixed up. Anyway, let's run this. Here's the first one. Even though the texts are exactly same, the first method told me it's false. And the second method, ignoring the case, totally ignored the case and told me, yeah, even though the cases are different, but essentially those two texts are exactly same.
I have a question. So let's say that they were identical and then there was a space either at the front or the back of text 1 or 2. Would it count the space as a difference, or is it like a blank and it doesn't count it?
Very good thinking. Very good thinking. Guys, this is awesome. You all need to extend it, okay? And sometimes there's more to teaching here than just what I have planned. And if you ask me, you will get more answers. And make this class much better. So what happens if I have space? It's gonna fail. Okay? So if I run this, both of them are gonna come out as failing. So I want you to brainstorm how I can fix this in here. You already know the method called trim. What can I do?
So would you do, hold on, let me see. You would do also obviously system out print ln, and then within the parentheses, you would do text 1 dot trim.
Okay.
And then do the rest the same plus text 2.
You're almost there.
Oh, okay.
Almost there.
What would I do instead?
So text 1 dot trim, this part already trimmed this for you, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Can I use another dot and then say equals ignore case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. You can put as many dots as you want and do whatever the surgery you want to do to that string that you have. It's totally allowable in Java.
Mm.
So right now at this point, text1 dot trim, let's mess this up. This has like a whole bunch of space, okay? And if I were to run this automation, this program, both of them are going to come out as false. But again, this is not supposed to be false. This is the same thing as that. Only thing,
Mhm.
when my automation picked up the text, it also picked up a whole bunch of spaces from the website. But that should not
Well,
fail my test.
don't you have an extra capital letter though? The G in the first one is capital though.
This one?
Yeah. So wouldn't it be false no matter what? Because
No, it won't.
oh, okay.
It's not even gonna look for case sensitivity.
Oh, okay.
It's going to just compare. Right now, it's gonna be false and false. But where you started right here, text1 dot trim, you can continue. You already trimmed it, okay? And this is a very good practice. And by the way, we do this in our automation. I just didn't think of adding this, but since you brought it up, I'm like, okay, maybe you're ready for this. So text1 dot trim, I got it trimmed, and then now you can say dot equals ignore case. This one. Okay? And if I put text2 right there, is it gonna pass now?
Yeah. I think it will be true.
Wanna think again?
Let me see. So it's trim. Oh, we need to trim text2 as well.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So if I print it now, if I run this thing now,
It will,
this is the first tool, so let me just isolate these two guys. So run it again. And for that statement, it's still telling me false. Why is that?
There's a bunch of spaces on the second one.
On the second one, I never trimmed the second one. I only trimmed the first one. So if I can trim this second one right in here. Dot trim. There you go. Now if I print this, it's gonna say true.
Okay. Makes sense.
Any question?
No.
All right. One other method in this particular demo, and then we'll take a break and come back and do the next ones. It's called dot is empty. It's funny names in Java. Is empty. What do you think it's gonna do?
Clean up every junk.
Hmm?
They're gonna delete everything.
It will delete everything. Not really.
Unnecessary thing they're gonna delete.
Well, let's expand this. What is that? Like, if I were to say this in English word, this is of course grammatically not correct. It's checking for what? Can you take a shot?
Empty space.
Whether the string is empty completely. Yes. It is looking for empty string. So checks whether the string is empty. And I use this in automation because I would use this method to check to see if I get the confirmation number back, the whole string of whatever that is website is supposed to show. If my automation takes that, brings it to me, first thing I might want to check is whether this is empty or not. Did it come out empty? If it came out empty, maybe there's an error. Maybe there's a bug in the website. But if it's not empty, then it's fine. If it came out empty, it will tell me true if it's empty, and false if it's not empty. Okay? So I want you to look at it like a question mark. Anytime a dot starts with the letter is, here's two things. One, if it starts with is, I guarantee you in Java, it's going to return true or false. That's it. And anytime I ask you to write your own method, which is coming in a couple of weeks from now, if I want you to return me true or false, you have to start the sentence, or you have to start this method name with the word is. That's just Java rule. So we keep things all standard and everybody understands what we're talking about. So here it's going to give me true or false response if I use this method. Let me do this for this guy. I want to see, I don't know what this confirmation number is. Folks, a lot of the times you're going to run these automations, you don't know what's going to be there in the computer's memory. It's going to go in and go get that whatever the text was displayed after the reservation was completed. You don't know that, what was there. It could be nothing one day, and you caught a bug. We have no idea. The only way we're going to check is with these methods. The methods are going to go into computer's memory. Imagine this doesn't exist. You don't get to see this right now. Right now you're seeing it because I've made it local. But if I make it user input, you're going to see that you don't see it. It's going to get stored somewhere. You won't even see it. So how am I going to know whether text 1 has something in it or not? Let's do it. Let me block this for now. And I want to find out, and I'm going to put a little text here. Is it empty? Is it empty? It's going to print out like that. And I don't know whether this is empty or not. So we want the computer to go look for it, find out, and tell me true or false. So if I take this text 1 and I put it in here, and if I put dot is empty, there's two of them. One is called is blank, is empty. We just use is empty. I don't even want to go into is blank and why that is different. Just don't worry about it. Just use that, is empty. That's it. Now, if I run this, what do you think my response is going to be? True or false?
False.
Correct. Because this is not empty, it gave me false. I want that answer. I want it to be false. Sometimes false is what I want. Okay? Now, if this was a negative method, like is not empty, which does not exist, by the way, but let's say if I were to make up one is not empty, then that would be, I would want true to be the answer. But that could get very confusing to understand. But right now it says, is it empty? The answer is false, meaning no. What if I have a string that is empty? Text 3. And I am just putting empty string right there. There's nothing there. I didn't even put a space. I just put 2 double quote and saved it, and Java is still okay with me doing that. Now,
So space will count as an entry, right? If we put a space, then
correct. If you put a space, that's your index 0. You got a space in your index 0. If you didn't put a space, Java just created a spot for you. And even though you said assign something, that I need to reopen that. But anyway, close this window. My writing tool is acting up. Let me just quit this. Oh, there you go. So Java created a space for you, named it text3, and you put empty string. He has nothing to place in there. It's empty. If you put a space, it's going to put a space in there. So now if I run this, let's do this here. That was my text 1. Is text 1 empty? That was my answer. And is text 3 empty? I take the text 3 and put a dot, write the word is, gives me these two options, is blank, is empty. I select is empty, hit the enter button, gives me that method, hit the run program. First one said is text 1 empty, told me false, meaning it is not empty. Second one is text 3 empty, didn't spell it correctly, and it told me true, because this one is empty. It is true. Question?
No question.
All right. No more questions. Then let's take 5 minutes break. We'll come back and want to go back into the scanner thing, and then after.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the trim,
Mm-hmm.
if you put the CGHT after that you put the gap,
Mm-hmm.
so how are you gonna trim it?
So this gap right here will get trimmed if you use the word, if you use the method called trim.
Yeah, but if it's in the middle, like they're separating the
Oh.
characters and the numbers.
That's a good question. Very good question. You want to make things as complicated as you can. And guys, I kid you not, in real life, you're gonna get some spaces like this. Okay? Do you think that's gonna be trimmed by this dot trim method?
I think
I don't
it
What does it say? Oh, that was from the previous assignment right here. Where is that?
Yes, it's a trimming.
Yeah, case of position. Yeah. Cut white space from both ends
both them.
of the
Okay.
string. Is it gonna take it from the middle?
No.
No.
It's not. So you're in bad situation here if, for example, the confirmation number printed with a couple of strings in the middle, you are not completely out of luck, but to way to handle that, I was going to do this today, but I think I might confuse some of you. So can I explain this in when I do a string array, which is going to be 2 weeks from now?
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, because there's a way to handle this. There's a way to break it down and piece this right there. You like slice it. You first slice it, and you take this chunk, and then you trim that chunk, and then you take this piece, and then you trim this chunk as well, and then you put those two together, and then you got your string. Okay, that's the basic concept, but the way to do that, I will explain it to you 2 weeks from now. Any other questions?
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's take 5 minutes break. Hey, y'all guys back?
Yes.
All right. Let's dive into scanner, and we'll play with one of these things that we learned with an existing one, and the scanner, and then I'll have a couple more string methods, and then we should be done for today. So this homework for this week is gonna have a scanner input thing where you're gonna take user input. It's not gonna have hard-coded data like this. It's important that you get the user input and have your code set up that way, because that's gonna mimic the real world. Because in real world, you don't get to see the automation run. You just build the automation and it runs itself. And there's something called headless browser. More of that will come in about a month. Is that browser, when you kick off your code to your main code, that browser doesn't even open up. It tests the website without even opening the browser. It works like a magic. So you don't get to see anything, but you have to know where you're storing what, and so that the program works automatically. And that is why this hard coding of data, we need to get out of this and start using user provided data and handle that. So going forward, from now on, everything is gonna use this user input, where we may or may not store a few things here and there that are hard coded. We might modify it and store it, which you will see. Anyway, that's why we need a scanner. So let's go into this new class. We're going to call this scanner. That might cause me an error because there's this class called scanner. That's okay. User input demo. User input demo. And public static void main. And click finish. And there I have it. All right. I know last class I went too much into explaining what an object was, and I'm not gonna do that. You don't need to know what an object is yet. Okay. What you need to know is there's a class. There is a class called scanner. Okay. This is how he named it, whoever coded that class. Remember, your class is right here, user input demo. And there's somebody who created a class and has some code in there. And he called it scanner. Why? Don't ask me. I don't know why. But that's what he decided to. So unfortunately, I don't want to go and write up all the code to get user input. I just want to use whatever he has. And I want to find the easy way I can do this. I don't want to write like 2 pages of code to get a user input, but somebody already wrote it. I can just use 1 line of code to get what I want. That is much faster and easier for me, and I don't need to ask questions, why did he choose that name? Unfortunately, we can't change that name. He already wrote it, that's how we're going to use it. Now, how are we going to use that? So take a look at this. I want you to compare this with this. You may think that you need to memorize this. So be it. If you need to memorize this, memorize it. It's just only one line of code. That's it. But if you also want to think it why it's written that way, then I will show you. Here's what we do. Suppose, how do I create a variable, string variable, and store data in it? What do I do? Give me an example.
So a string variable.
Yeah.
So a string.
Write string, and then
A name
we give it
or
a
what?
like name,
Yeah.
and then
Then you go. And then if it is very text, then we need to put colon. Otherwise, yeah, we need to put colon. It's not it's
And
string. So yeah.
this is a text.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we semicolon to close it. What just
Yeah.
happened? We got Java took a piece of your memory out of your computer and he gave it a name called name. Okay, and then he stored this stuff in it. This is a text. We're clear about that, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. If you wanna get access to all the methods, by the way, I'm jumping the gun. But look at this. If I take this name right here, copy it, you saw it in my previous examples. Name. If I put a dot, what happens?
It give us methods or
Give,
method, right?
right, gives us all the methods I can use, all the things, all the capabilities that string has. I got it in my fingertips. I don't have to write a code to get the length. I can just choose that length and hit enter, and it's gonna give me that length. Understand?
Yeah.
I don't need to write a page full of code, which in fact is probably a page full of code, whoever wrote this thing. But I don't need to rewrite something has already been created. I can just use it by putting this dot right there. What does that mean? That means this memory location, this name, got all the capabilities of the class called string. Method, this length is one of them. If I say name.trim, trim is one of them. You learned so many. Name.to, lowercase, uppercase. Okay, you learned all of these. These are all the capabilities that a string has. Obviously, you and I didn't write the code. Somebody wrote the code and put it in string. And we can only access it through this name that we have given it, because that's where all this is stored. So I just have to use that my created name, okay, my created name, to get access to all the capabilities of string. Are you with me so far on this? Then we take this
Yes.
idea, take this same idea. If I wanted the capabilities of scanner, I would have to write the word scanner first. Just like I wanted capabilities of string in the word called name, which I provided, you are doing the same thing. You want all the capabilities of scanner class. You give it a name. What do you want to call it? You guys give me a name.
Input.
Okay. How about insert?
Yeah, insert.
Doesn't matter. What name I put in here, this doesn't matter. So what happens is Java, same way. Java created a container for you. All right. The container, the type of the container is scanner. Scanner is the type of the container. The name of the container is what?
Insert.
Insert. Name of the container is insert. This is very fundamental, folks. I hope you understand this. I'm going very slow so that in the future, when we do this, I don't have to explain in this greater detail. So I got this container. It doesn't have anything in it. It's the type is scanner, and I gave it a name insert. Right? At this point, if I put a close that out, just like I could have closed it out here. If I type in the word insert and place a dot, I don't know why. It's not supposed to give me the capabilities yet. Okay? But it's still doing it. So this is not a good example. But what you need to do is you do need to finish it. Right here, you say string name, and then you put something in here for scanner insert that you named it. What you need to put in here, you need to put in the same thing, all the capabilities of scanner in here. You're not going to put a string. You're going to say the word new. As soon as you say the word new, that means you're creating a brand new capability set that you're going to store right there that you can call with this guy. Okay. So you say the word scanner again. This is always the same with all the other ones that we're going to use in the future. New scanner, and generally it's going to end right here. You put this parenthesis and it ends right there. But for this particular one, it requires you to provide a parameter in here. Okay. It requires you to put a parameter called system.in. I don't want to explain this. If you have to memorize it, do it. But I don't want to lose you. All you need to do is just do that. System.in. Okay? Any questions so far on how to write it?
I think we need to memorize this for now. Then the concept will be more clear when we do.
Sure, that's fine with me as well. So you got this insert word. Insert is the name of this container. In this container with this equal sign, Java is taking a brand new scanner, all the methods that are inside the scanner, and assign it. This equal sign means assign. Assign it to this variable called insert. So all of these methods that this guy wrote is now going to be stored inside that container. And you get to use it by only calling that name, just like we call the string name. We can call this insert name and get the methods. So let's move on. Unless you have any questions before I move on. Couple other things. If you see this red line, click on it. Import scanner java.util. This is where that class is located. If you import that, he's going to be able to connect those methods better. And there's that import statement that came up here. Import statement always comes in between the package and the class, and nothing else should go in there. All right. Now, let's take a look at something. Suppose, let me get rid of this. You don't need that. Suppose, here's a question. Example. Take user input and check to see if it is empty. Okay, that's your question. Check to see if it's empty. How are we going to do that? Well, obviously, you know, if anybody asks you for user input, this is the line you have to close your eyes and type and bring in the input. With me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this insert word gives you the capability of several types of input that you can get, and the method is called dot next. These are some of the methods you need to know. It takes the first word from user. Only first word, guys. That's it. If you don't want first word, if you want more or everything on that line, you would need something called dot next line. Takes the entire line of user input. Okay, so we're gonna master this right now. Let's see how we're gonna do this. So first, you wanna, even though this question is like take user input and check whether it's empty, it sounds like, oh, that's it. But you gotta do it more human, user-friendly way. Meaning, I would like to ask the user, please provide an input. So I would have to print out something like this. South. And in here, please type something. Okay, I'm being very casual here now. Please type something. Let's print it out and see if I get that printed out. Please type something. I got that. If I put my cursor right there and I want to type something, it doesn't let me type anything. See, I'm typing something right now. It doesn't let me. So what am I going to do? I can take this word insert and use this method called dot next. Oops. Dot next, not the has next, but there is a dot next, which is just simple as that. So if you pick that one, hit enter, and semicolon to close, if I run it now, it printed please type something, which is right here. And if I put my cursor there and type something, look, it lets me type it. It will let me type it. If I hit enter, it's gone. It took it somewhere and it's gone, and I can't type anymore. What just happened? If I type my name, Stein, and hit enter, what happened is Java took this, with this insert.next method, Java took this and brought it right here and took this thing off. This whole thing is now called Stein. Okay. But did I save it anywhere in the computer?
No.
And it didn't save it either. It came and it's gone. It came it for a brief moment, it's gone. You have to save it for you to be able to use it. So what do I do to save this input from the user, whatever that is? How do I save this? This is what's bringing me all the junk from people typing something. How do I save this? Haley, can you give it a try?
I need to assign a variable for this.
You have to assign a variable, correct. You have to create a variable. So I would go one step before, and I can do it this way. I could say string text1, and I have my variable created right here, a bucket. So a bucket created with text1. Okay. And I want this stuff to be stored in here. So all I have to do is take this part. What symbol do I need to use here for Java to assign this data in here?
Equal.
Equal symbol, correct. Now if I write this statement right here, whatever the user inputs comes right there, and then Java takes it, assign it to text1, which goes saved right there in that spot for me to use later. So therefore, the best way to write this is to always have a variable first created and then put an equal sign and then write all of this stuff. With me so far?
Yes.
Any question?
No.
All right. So this insert.next takes the user input from here. And if I write Stein, that's going to replace this thing with the word Stein. That Stein is going to get stored with this equal sign saying assign this word into that memory location, and it's going to store it for you. That's it. For up to this line, that's all it does. Now, if I wanted to print it out, then I would say south, and in here I can say you typed and then in here with the plus sign, I could just take the variable name where it's going to be saved and print it here. And now if I print this, if I run this again, watch what happens. It's waiting for me. It's asking me to type something. And if I type in happy, and if I hit enter, it's going to print you typed and then take that variable location. So you typed, and then there's that text happy part. That happy got saved right there, went right there, came back out right here, and got printed out right there. Let's finish this one. So the question is asking, take user input and check to see if it is empty, right? So we already took the user input. We said, please type something. Here's insert.next, give me the input option, saved it into text1. We also printed it here. And we can have another question here called is the input empty? And in here with the plus sign, Tony, give me, what do I need to write? What method do I need to use to check to see if this text1 or the user input is empty or not?
You're gonna put is or text1 dot is empty.
Correct. Text1 dot is empty. If I do that, this text1 dot is empty is going to check whether the text1 is empty, and if it is, it's going to say true. If it is not empty, it's going to say false. So let's run this. please type something. Let me type star. Hit enter. It says you typed star. Is the input empty? The answer is false, meaning it is not empty. Let's try another one with an empty string. If I run this now, it says please type something. I put my cursor here. I don't type anything. I hit enter. And it's not letting me. Okay, what about space? Enter. Nah, that's not gonna work. It wants you to save something. It's not letting you type something null, meaning empty, empty space. So that's not a good example. Let's do another one here. Example 1. I'll take it to another class. Okay, here's an example with this string method. So compare user input. We're going to compare 2 user input and see if they are same or not. So compare user input. Open up this class. Save the other one if it asks me to. Open up some space for me to write. Deleting this part right here. Well, actually, let me put a question here. Example. Compare 2 user inputs, whether they are equal or not. So let's do this. Desmond, tell me how do I kick off the scanner class?
Confused.
Right. Okay. First step is let's go and ask the user to input, provide a text. Okay. So we'll say type first string. Type something. Okay. There's your type something. And if I print this out, it's going to say type something. Now I want to take the user input. So what you want to do is you want to instantiate this class called scanner, S-C-A-N-N-E-R, scanner. Always give me a different word this time.
It's an input, or you can say type.
Type.
Type, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll name it called type. And then equal to, the rest of the part is exactly same. We're going to say new scanner. And inside the parentheses, we're going to write
System.in.
correct. System.in, and we're done.
Do you have to import the
It's
import scanner?
Java.util import that class. Now it's ready for you to use. So I am gonna take an input using this word type, but I also need to store it somewhere. So I want to create a string location, string storage, give it a name. Let's say text1.
Equal.
Is it okay if I say S1?
do it as a user one, so because it's comparing to user.
Okay, so user text1. Okay, yeah, more description, better. And this is where I'm going to call this guy
type. Mhm.
And then if I put a dot, it's gonna give me
Dot.
next method.
Next. Mhm.
I'm going to choose that next method, and I'm done. That's gonna give me the user to input something, and it's gonna store it in this variable called user text1. At this point, if I wanted to check, I could say system out and say you type, and I could print that out with the plus and say user text1.
User text one.
If I run it now, it's asking me type something. If I put my cursor here and say I am happy, okay, and it says you typed I. Why is that? Why not the whole thing?
Because it only takes the first word that you inputted, because you didn't put next line, you just put next.
Correct. So this dot next will only take the first word, but if you want the entire line to be taken, then you have to use this method called dot next line. So if I replace this over here, instead of saying type dot next and say next line, and now if I run it again, here's type something, which is coming from right there. Next line, I activated the scanner class with the word type. Next line, this type next line is asking me to type something in the next line. And I say, I am happy. And if I hit enter, this I am happy got replaced with this part right there, got assigned to this memory location, user text1. And then in my next line, I am printing you typed, which is right there. And whatever that was located or stored in user text1, which was I am happy. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's do the same thing. Let's do the same thing for the second input, and then we're going to compare and we're going to say true or false if they're exactly same. Okay? So, do I need to, who can tell me which lines I need to copy and which lines I don't? How about I copy this whole thing first, okay? Because this one ask me and take an input and display. This is for the first one. How about I copy this and do it for the second one right there? Right? This line is gonna say type another something, let's say, making things up. Type another something. Do I need to activate this word type anymore, or has it already been done?
it's already been done. You don't need to do it anymore.
Correct. Notice if I put my cursor on there, it says duplicate. Because you already done it, you don't have to do it anymore for this particular class, so I can delete that line. There, it's gone. I can still use this guy here. I don't have to do it over and over. Okay? Now, where's the problem with this one? User text1.
You have to create a new variable, so it has to be user text 2 or 3 and 4, however many you want to do.
Correct. I already got the user text1 in a memory location. I can't have another one. So if you want to change that to a 2, everything is hunky-dory. And then when you want to print out what you took the input from the user, you also want to change that to user text2. Let's run it at this point and see what happens. Here's my first thing. It's asking me to type something. So I'm going to type in beautiful day. Beautiful day. Okay. And then hit enter. It says you typed beautiful day. type another something. So in here now, oops, reset perspective, Windows perspective, reset perspective. There, back on business. Put this back up. Let's run this again. Type something. Great day. Enter. You typed great day. Type another something. In here, I type in, let's say, beautiful day. All right. I didn't hit enter yet. So if I hit enter, that beautiful day is going to get stored in user text 2. Beautiful day. And it got printed out as with this statement, and we're done here. So far, so good. Any questions so far?
No.
We just took 2 inputs from user and we stored one on user text 1, the other one on user text 2. Now we have to compare these two and see if they're same. If they're same, print true. If they're not same, print false. Okay? You can do all of that on one line. You can say, who wants to take a shot at it?
User text 1 equal user text 2.
So if I take that and say equal
User text 2.
user text 2.
Yeah.
Sure, that's going to work. Although that is a mathematical comparison symbol, equal, but these two happens to be what data type?
Oh, this is a string.
This is a string. So even though this is a okay for now, it's probably not the best method, but well, let's check it out, okay? Let's see if it works. So if I run this now, and I want to put a little fancy word in between, that should say, are they equal? Are they same? Are they same? And then I want it to print true or false from here. For a good measure, you want to put a bracket right there to isolate this so that it doesn't try to mix up with this sign and this sign. This is a string and this is a mathematical string right there. So let's run it. F11. Here's the first part. Type something. Let's type it. Robert. Enter. You typed Robert. Type another something, which is this one. Let's type it in here. Robert. Now if I hit enter, are they same? Are they same? What happened?
False.
Why is that?
Because this is string.
Right, it's trying to do mathematical operations and something messed up in the memory, and it's probably not using the letters, it's using the location or something, and it's not.
If we put a number, then we have to do the integer in that case, right? Not the string.
You're right, Shabuz. If this was, let's say, 35 and 47, if I was comparing those two, then it's gonna give me false. And if I put 47 and 47, yes, this operation would be okay for integers. But for string, this is not okay. Right? So you want to take another shot? Who wants to take another shot? How do I compare this? These two that I received from the previous class that I showed you, previous demo. Who remembers?
User text 1 dot
User text 1 dot
equal something that is.
equals ignore case.
Yeah.
Dot equals ignore case. If you take that, and then on the perimeter for that, user text 2.
Yeah.
You put that and you put it right there. And now it's taking user text 1, comparing it, trying to see if they're same with ignoring the case, uppercase or lowercase, and then with this user text 2, and it's going to print out true or false. Let's do this. Run it. Type something. We're going to type Biden. You typed Biden. Type another something. This time I'm going to do lowercase Biden. Okay. With this method, should I get true or false if they are same?
No.
It's going to come out as true. You typed Biden, and are they same? The answer is true. Now you have just compared. This is how you would compare a confirmation number. When I'm going to show you those automation code, we're going to be using this method right here. We're going to compare. We're going to have a confirmation number from one page. We're going to save it in let's say confirmation 1, confirmation number 2, and we're going to compare them. If confirmation numbers match, you want to pass the test case. If the confirmation numbers fail, we're going to fail the test case, and we're going to print out a good report that, hey, confirmations number didn't match. Maybe even go deeper into display what those two confirmation numbers were.
I have a question.
Yes.
Previously, we saw that if there is a uppercase and lowercase, it's not true. All right.
Right. If there's an uppercase and lowercase, and you just use this method, which is equals and not ignore case, then it's gonna fail it. Watch this again. So I just took the ignore case part out, and if I run this, type something, and let's say I type Trump, and then type another something. I type Trump with lowercase t, and hit enter. It's gonna say false. They're not the same. Because it's failing because the cases are not the same. But if I put ignore case, use this method, I think case is C lowercase. Nope. See, it's giving me error. Click on it, hover over. The method equals ignore case is undefined, meaning my spelling wrong. Look, it's giving me a suggestion. Change to equals ignore case. So if I choose that, it's going to fix my spelling mistake. And now if I run it and say Trump, and the next one do a lowercase Trump, T-R-U-M-P, it's going to say, are they same?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
All right. If you are good with this, then I have a couple more things to go over, and we should be okay, done for today. The others are called replace all, and contains. So let's do this. We're going to do a new class called string replace. Sometimes you have to replace a few things from a string and replace it with something else. You will see a real example later when we do those things right here. So example, here's what we're trying to do. Replace all replace fox with dog from the user input. All right. So if the user gives me fox, I'm going to replace that with dog from the user input. Right. So, Tony, can you tell me what's the first step I need to do? This is like very one sentence, nothing. But in here, you got to debug and you have to think in more details. Like, what do I need to do? First, I need to prompt the user to type something. You got to have a code for that. Second, you have to take the user input and save it. Okay? These are the action steps that you got to break it down to steps for you to understand better initially. And then later on, it's going to become automatic for you. Every single step like that is going to require a code for you to do that. So take the user input and save it. You got it saved. And then now you're going to do replace the fox word with, this is called pseudocode, by the way. The spelling is, excuse me, pseudocode. I had an interview question about a string. The interviewer asked me, if I gave you a string, how would you reverse that string and print it out? And I kind of sort of knew it, but I know that if I were to write it down, I would make some mistake. But he wanted me to write it down on a piece of paper. And I was really complaining. I was like, I was very nervous. I didn't want to write. I didn't practice well. So I didn't want to get embarrassed. And I was telling him, can I give you the pseudocode instead? Because I'm not sitting in front of Eclipse to help me out write the code. Can I give you the pseudocode? Pseudocode is this right here. Pseudocodes are like the steps. You want to explain what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, what methods you're going to use. If you can explain the pseudocode, generally you know how to do it. So if I took your interview or anybody else's, and if they can explain some of these methods that are going to be used in these steps, that's good enough confirmation for me that this guy has an idea. Okay, the pseudocode has to have logic in it as well. It matters. Anyway, the spelling is, I think, PSE pseudocode. No. You help me out if you know this. Yeah, pseudo.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Pseudocode. Yeah. So you got this, replace the fox word with dog, and then you gotta save that and save it. If you want to save it, you don't have to. You could go straight and say print that out. Print out the modified word. Okay. Now initially I'm writing you all this. This is a baby step. But later down the road, when we're gonna go do automation and stuff, I'll just discuss it with you, and then we'll go straight into coding. Okay. So now, Loretta, if you're still there, can you give me that first thing? How do I prompt the user to type something?
You have to say string.
No, prompting prompt the user to type something.
So we have to use the scanner.
This is just like asking the user to type something. So
Just do system.out.
system out,
Done.
Or system dot out.
yeah, and then
Done.
prompt
And then whatever.
ask, yeah. Please type something. Okay, that's that code. So I just wrote this code to have the user, to prompt the user, meaning ask the user to type something. Okay, I didn't take the input yet. Okay, so if I run it now, it's gonna say, please type something. Next task. Take the user input and save it. Okay, take the user input and save it. Shobuz, what do I?
Yes. I need to call the scanner.
You gotta call the scanner, or this is called instantiate scanner object in fancy word. So scanner, give it a name.
Let's say input.
Input.
Equal
Come on, equal.
new scanner space scanner. Open path, yeah, and that system.in.
Good job. How about
I need to call the utility, yeah.
Okay.
And after that, we need to call a variable, a string.
String variable location to store it.
Take user input and save it. Right? So a string, you can call it as a text.
I can call it text. Hey, pop quiz. Can I call it string?
No.
No, why, and yes, why?
Because it's already a predefined class and built into Java.
But that S is a small letter.
Oh, Desmond, that's awesome. So tell me, well, that letter is small. So does that?
You can use that.
Huh?
You can use that.
You can use it. So I can use the word string as long as this S is not the same as this S right there. I have a lowercase string. And I kid you not, to confuse the heck out of people, these Java programmers, they will use this word string. Okay? They will use the word string one. And you'll be like reading code and totally confused, nuts about it. Like, why do you have the same word over and over? Somebody from the street, if they look at this code, like, he's going to say, this guy is probably crazy. He wrote the word twice. He doesn't know that's a duplicate. But Java guys are probably laughing at those guys and like, oh, you don't know code. That's why you don't understand what that is. But yes, you can have this word variable name string as long as S is lowercase. I can have this S uppercase and T uppercase. Will that work?
Yeah.
That will also work. As long as I don't have exact copy of this here, then it's going to work. So let's go ahead and do this string in lowercase. And we're going to now what, Shabuz?
Input.
We take this input and then put a dot and say next.
Next. Yes. Yeah. Next.
Next. Because I want more than one input, more than one word. So I want to choose next line and I'm done here. Okay. Let's run this so far, see if it works. Here's my first thing. Please type something. And if I type here, I'll put a colon, looks nice. And I want to type in the quick brown fox. Okay. And if I enter, that's, yeah, it didn't fail. It didn't give you an error. It ran. If it runs, you got it right. If it fails, you got it wrong. It's like a teacher for you. The Eclipse is like a teacher. Okay, now next part right here. This is, I have not taught you this yet. Replace the fox word with dog, all right? And here's your notes. The method is called dot replace all. What you want to put in here, two things. One, first thing you want to put in is the string that you want to replace. So the old string. And you want to put a comma. And then you want to put in the new string that you want. Okay? And it's going to change it for you. So what it does is replace something. Let's take a look at the code. So far I'm here. I got the user input, whatever they wrote, stored in this guy called string. Stored in the storage called string. Now, I want to replace, the word fox with dog. So what I need to do is I need to take the string, copy this, and put a dot and activate or call the method called replace dot replace all right there. String rejects means what was there before, and string replacement is what you're going to replace it with. So if I select this method, hit enter, it's waiting for me to type in what do I want to replace. So I put double quote twice and say I want to replace the fox. And I'm down here. Because it's string, I put it in quotation. If it was number, I would not put in quotation. And replacement, I take this word out, and in double quote here, I want to type in replace it with dog, and semicolon to close. Any question so far? It's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Very simple. Just what are you gonna replace it? What are you gonna replace? And what are you gonna replace it with? That's it. And then it will do the whole thing for you. Now, if I print this out, I don't even have to save it, guys. I don't even have to save it if I don't want to. I can save it. Create another string called new string or updated string, and then put equal to, I just created a memory space called updated string, and the update got fox removed, dog replaced with, and then stored it right in here. I could do that if I want to. Let's do it. Okay. Since we want another step right here, let's do it. But this could have been done right away. I could just print right that much, and it will print that for me. Anyway, last step right here. How do I print this, Haley?
Sorry, I'm trying to think. I was so, you would say type, or you would put, sorry, would it be system.out print?
Yes, system.out.
And then would you put, Would you put type something else? Or I'm trying to think.
We could say the changed.
Oh, okay. It's just another prompt. Okay.
And then
The change type. Wouldn't that be it? Or-
well, this is just gonna print that much, right? But if
Okay.
I
Plus,
could print the changed stuff, I could do two things. One, I could print this guy because this guy has stored the replaced fox with a dog string right there. Okay, so I could print that right here, right now, and that will be fine. Let's run it and see how it looks. So if I go in, it says type something, the quick brown fox, and it says the changed text is the quick brown dog.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
Fox got replaced right here with the dog. It got saved in this variable called updated string. And then I printed out that updated string, which didn't have the fox anymore, but changed with a dog. Could I print it straight, directly? Sure. You could even take this part right here and copy that and paste it right here. In that case, you don't even need this line. You are doing the whole thing in right here, fox and dog. Fox got replaced with a dog and then got printed out right there. Let's run it again. F11. Type something. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy fox. Okay? If I hit enter, notice got replaced with a dog. This fox got replaced with a dog. As many as there are will get replaced. Questions?
No.
All right, let me activate this back up. While you're marinating the thought, I think my words get echoed. So it's like it's not like a computer language.
So I have one question.
Yes.
So it's like there are like many methods, right? So how do we know that which method is we can use? Is that comes with the experience, or is there any way we can learn? Short way.
All the methods you're going to need, I'm going to give you.
Okay.
This course is going to cover everything you need to go out there and automate test cases. There are more methods than what I'm going to teach you. Do you need them? No. Can you use them in some way? Sure. You can be creative and dig up some other methods and be more fancy on how to use it and take it farther. Sure. Do you have to do that to survive? No. Anything I teach you, if you can remember that and get the work done, that's it. Now, are you going to remember this all the time? No. Even I forget. But when you're on it and you're trying to, you have to use your intelligence to kind of figure things out. For example, you know that you can put a dot and that's going to give you a window and some suggestions. You know that Stein told you that if it's a string, like let's say string here, and I put a dot, it gives me this window of options I can do. You forgot which one, but you should be able to scan through and be like, oh yeah, I wanted that empty thing, and here it is. Or just hover over and it's going to tell you what it does. You can hover over, maybe select it, and it's going to change, even give you a bit of a lesson on it. Understand?
Yeah.
If you want to take this farther, see, this also gave you an example. Let me check. No, it didn't give you a good example. It just talked about
Yeah, I got the answer. One of my question was when you said that you see that replace first, under that replace all, there is a replace first. So if we want to change the only one fox to one dog, then we can use that string, right? The replace first.
this one.
Yeah.
And that's most likely it. I've never used it. I don't know if it works or not, but I want to give it a shot. So replace first, dot, replace first. So we're thinking that this is gonna replace the first word, which duplicated here. So I'm gonna change this to fox. Dog, and always try it out. Play with it like this to see if it's working properly or not. Okay, run it. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy fox.
The dog spelling wrong.
Huh?
You said dog. It's not dog, yeah?
Oh yeah. But that's okay. It will replace it with dog.
Oh, okay.
It's not gonna break anything.
Okay, that's fine.
So if I hit enter right now, Shobus, you are right. Look at this.
Yeah.
The first fox got replaced with the dog, but the next one did not get replaced. That's, yeah, beautiful. You just discovered something that you taught the whole class right now. Isn't that nice? And this platform is there for you to learn and expand on your learning. You don't have to create additional code. These methods are there for you to use. Okay. All right. One last thing, and we're done. This is called contains method. All right. So I'll do a class, new class, string contains method. Here's an example. Question. Take user input and validate if word dog, fox present. Apply this in real world when you're going to take the user input to see if the input has a confirmation number or the customer's username, whether the valid password works or not. So I will take this learning today that I'm teaching you in a month from now or a month and a half. I'm going to show you how you did take this knowledge to use in the automation. The notes, the method that you need to learn is called dot contains. Okay, and in here you put in the string you want. String, or this is called substring, Here's why. What does substring mean? Suppose I have a string called S1. My name is John. Okay. If this is the string, any piece out of this is a substring. Okay. If I try to cut this part and say this part, that would become a substring. This is a substring. Sub means a smaller part of a bigger string. Okay. So substring means substring means smaller part of a whole or bigger string. Are we clear with that? Okay.
Yes.
So now I need to take user input. Whatever the input is, I want to check to see if he wrote fox in it or not. And I'm going to use the method called .contains. And this will check if the whole string contains a substring. Break it down for you. A prompt user. So here's pseudocode. Prompt user for input. Somebody is echoing me. B. We took the user input. Now we need to print yes or prompt the user, and then get and maybe save user input. Okay, but you know part of this is going to be you creating a scanner class, scanner object, create scanner object. Excuse me. And then next one, use .next line method to get input and then save that input in string variable. Okay, and then last part, print true or false if substring, if fox, if string contains fox, or input contains fox, the word fox. Let's make this happen. So Haley, give me the first part here. Prompt the user for input.
You do system.out
Okay.
println.
And
then double quotes, please cut something.
all right. And Tony, give me this part. Create scanner object.
You put scanner, then we can put some kind of variable. So like input.
And guys, you will see in Java world, they don't want to brainstorm another variable. They just call it scanner with the lowercase s. So can we use that for now?
Yeah, that's what I used my homework. I just didn't know if that was okay or not.
Absolutely, and that is the norm. With people
Okay.
in engineering, they don't have time to think about another word. They're like, I'm instantiating scanner. I'm going to use the word scanner with a lowercase s. So from now on, just use lowercase s. Scanner
Okay.
equal, and then
Oh no, that's got to be. Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. The scanner dot equals new. Then space scanner open parentheses system dot.
parentheses you don't have to say. If you just say scanner system.in, and then I'll tell
Okay. Got it.
you. Even in the interviews, you don't have to say it like that.
Okay.
All right, so import the class. All right, we're done. Now we need to get user input. Okay. Use this method to get user input, and then we're gonna save it. This too can be done on same step, and save it. We'll get rid of this. All right, Desmond, can you give me this?
Is it a string user?
Very good. String user input.
Text 1.
User input text 1
Equal
equal
scanner.
scanner, which is this one. Good.
Yeah.
And then
Next line.
dot
Next line.
line.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's going to take the input, save it in this variable called user input text 1. Done with that. Last, we're going to use this contains method to print things out. I'll do this last part for you. So obviously we got to print it out. So we're going to do system out. We're going to put a little courtesy word saying updated string. And then here we're going to do our cooking. So what are we going to cook? What do we have to mess around?
We need to check that the text has the word box.
Correct.
Or,
So I'm going to take this part, which is user input text 1. I don't know what he's going to give me, but that's where it's going to get stored. I'm going to take that variable, put it right here, and I want to check to see. Oh no, I totally mixed it up here. Nobody caught this. I'm just checking, right, if it contains a substring. If it contains the word fox in it, right? So does the string, does it contain word fox? Does it contain word fox? Fox. And it's gonna give me true or false right here. So what I have to do is you take this user input, paste it here once, not twice. Oops. Edit, redo typing. Just delete that part. Take that user input, place it here. You can use this method called dot contains. Dot contains. And you can choose that first one, character sequence. And over here, this is where you want to put in the subtext or substring, meaning that small piece that you're trying to check whether it contains or not. This is the big string, guys. Okay? This is the big string. All the user input is right here. And with dot contains, this is where you want to put in the small piece of the string, whether it's there or not. So let me just do this here. Here, I'm going to put in with double quote the word fox. If it has the word fox, it's going to print out true. If it doesn't, it's going to print out false. Any questions so far before we run it? Okay. So kick it off. It's asking me to input something. The quick brown fox. And if I hit enter, does it contain the word fox? And this part, the answer gave me true. Run it again with no word fox. The quick brown. And if I hit enter, does it contain the word fox? The answer gave me false. Any question?
No, that makes sense.
All right, guys, this is it for today's lesson, and I'm going to copy these, including these notes, into this page right here. It's gonna say string and scanner, and you'll be able to scroll down here. Right now, you can't scroll down; it doesn't have anything, but all that code is gonna be there. What should you do? You should be trying to mimic these classes that I created in your local, in your computer. Create all of these classes yourself and recreate this. Look at it side by side. Look at the code side by side, and try to see if you can do this without maybe looking at it, and then maybe peek on it a little bit, and then do it, but get it done, and then you do your homework accordingly. If you need to watch the video, watch it a couple of times as well. And here's the homework. And I sort of broke it down to make it easy. String and scanner. View assignment. Oops, it doesn't let me view it from there. Edit assignment. All right, so there are 6 questions. Every one of them use scanner. And initially, I wrote a lot of steps for you, so you know every single line is required a line of code from you. Take a look at this one. Ask the user following. I even gave you what to ask. So you just system out, you copy this and do that. Get user input and save to a string variable. You just saw I did that example. Check and print true or false if the sentence is empty. And in this format, you did not type anything, true or false, and you can do that. Your response is going to come right here. Wherever you see XYZ, that's where your response is going to be. Print the length of the saved string in the format below. The length of the string you typed is, and this is where you're going to do dot length method to print out. Print the entire text in uppercase and then lowercase. So at bare bone minimum, if you just look at the examples that I'm going to post in this website, in this page, and be able to put together these 6 questions, you're good. You should be good to go. All right. and do this at your earliest convenience. We're gonna meet at 4:30 Thursday. If you all have any questions and homework help needed, it is optional, but I highly recommend if you did not finish your homework by Thursday, and B, if you tried and you got stuck and you have some questions, do meet me during that time. Any questions before we end the class today?
No questions.
All right. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Sunday or Thursday.
See you next week.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks.